Hello, listeners. You may hear some screeching in the background of today's episode. It's perfectly normal, and yes, the person or child screaming is perfectly fine.
Well, hello and happy Witchy Wednesday, my dear ghouls, ghoulettes, and all kinds of practitioners of the arcane. My darling Jess, how are you doing today?
I am doing lovelily well, my Lady Mel. How about yourself?
Oh, feeling a little naughty, a little rambunctious, because we are covering Baneful Magic for beginners today.
Just the beginners?
I mean, anybody who wants to maybe dabble into the quote-unquote dark side of the magic, is more than welcome, but anybody who's been around can probably listen, critique, correct, all that fun stuff.
Ooh, wondrous. I know I've dabbled in looking up a little spells, never tried my hands at it yet.
I mean, look, none of us are saints here, listeners, and sometimes you want to stick it to someone without going to jail for it. As it is often said, I can let the universe handle it, or I can handle it. And if I handle it, I'm going to jail. So sometimes you just gotta let the universe handle it with a little push.
You know what? I completely agree with you there.
That said, in keeping with our running suggestions of not to try these things at home, those current suggestions being drugs and incest, we are going to be discussing a few ways that one can be a petty Betty in the most metaphysical ways possible. So don't try these at home, but you know where you can try them.
Where the ghoulies spill the tea.
So our opening question, what is the pettiest curse, jinx, or hex you have put on someone, if you have, even if you've thought it?
I think for me, it was someone had cut me off on the road, and I just looked at them and I'm like, I hope you just have the worst day of your life. I didn't even wish them to get in a car wreck, as I usually do. I was just like, nope, that's too much. It's like, I hope you just have a very bad day. You stub your toe or something.
Well, man, I know stubbing the pinky toe really hurts, and I have to say, that is a uniquely Floridian. I'm gonna go with jinx, because it seems like more of an inconvenience than anything else. We'll get to the definitions.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I hope you can't find that battery to your remote.
Ooh, oh man, that one hurt back in the 90s, bro.
That it did. What about you, Lady Mel, if you want to say?
Ooh, so mine is a little deeper. Mine is a hex.
Whoop.
So I'm going to read this the way we do our Reddit stories.
Please do.
I'm OP this time. I gave them my struggles because they wanted to be me so badly.
No.
So, in recent years, I'm gonna go with within the past 5 or 6. Someone got very close to me under the guise of friendship. Over time, that glamour cracked, and it became apparent to me that this person did not like me, was really only getting close to me to have access to my creativity and talents, talked mad nonsense behind my back, and had the audacity to hit on my husband on top of all of that.
No, this sounds like someone we both know, but I don't think it's this person.
I mean, babes, it's a small world. Small world. And with many a player in it. So the thing is, they were clearly unhappy with themselves to the point that they wanted to be someone else. And it just so happened that the person they wanted to be was me. And look, I can't blame them. So I decided to let them have exactly what they wanted.
Except they're getting not just the good, they're getting the bad as well.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I've endured a lot of struggles in my life. And they've all contributed to who I am. So, my self-loathing, my lack of confidence, the ever-creeping fears that no one actually likes me and that I'm only just tolerated, the 90 pounds I no longer carry on my frame, I sent that all to that person.
I'm guessing they're not dealing with it that well, huh?
I mean, look, those are their problems now, and I've been feeling better than ever.
As you should. You're looking better than ever.
Oh, when we get to some of the practices, some of that stuff will make sense, especially how Pitbull comes into play.
Whoop!
So, part 1, levels of petty. So I found these definitions on friendlystreetwitch.com because I was having trouble trying to figure out how to differentiate among a jinx, a hex, and a curse. So, a jinx. It's more of an annoyance than anything, rarely doing any actual harm, just mildly disrupting your life. They're typically repetitive and active under certain circumstances. So it's similar to Murphy's Law, where if you're in a real hurry, you will hit every red light while driving. And these are hard to detect since they're pretty mild and will simply inconvenience you more than anything else.
And I hate them red lights, especially when I'm in a hurry.
Ooh, we know. So yeah, jinxes, inconvenient, not fun, but aren't going to completely wreck your day or your life, which is for the best. Next up, we have a hex, and that one is powerful, one-and-done type curse. So it's like being hit with a baseball in your face. You know, it hurts, it can be a little bloody, but it's not really, it is not permanent, deadly, and it tends to happen only once. So a hex will prevent you from getting your dream job. It won't affect anything other than that one job, no current jobs or future jobs, and will not follow you. However, once you are up for the dream job, it will make sure it never happens. So hexes tend not to activate until they're ready and are fast working, so you will not know it's coming until it's worked.
Surprisingly, I have a story for this.
Girl, spill.
And this is a story, I think I got it on TikTok or YouTube. I don't remember where I heard the story. But this lady had accidentally, she wanted to fuck around.
Well, we all know what happens when one fucks around.
And she's just like, you know what? This person's really annoying. And they're annoying my friends. They're annoying me. So she put their name in water and then put it in the back of her freezer and forgot them.
Oh, we're gonna get into that, but oh my god.
Yeah, apparently this person lost their job. Their relationship fell apart. Every bad thing was happening to them. And then as she was cleaning out her freezer, she noticed this, the little Tupperware with the water and the name in it. And she's like, what the hell do I have this for? And she threw it out.
What happened next?
After she threw it out, this person's life started coming back to normal. It was no longer in disarray.
Oh, ooh-wee. You're gonna like the next section of this after I finish with the definitions, bro.
Ooh, I cannot wait.
So yeah, the hex I described earlier is a one and done because I don't want to mess with that person's life forever. I just want to teach them, hey, if you want to be me that badly, I can understand that. But you don't just get to have the good. You also have to have what built the character. Because, everyone thinks that, everyone else's life is just the tip of that iceberg. They don't see everything else underneath. And frankly, don't hit on my husband. That's not cute.
That is not cute. I'd rather hit on you.
When I oop, and I oop. So, moving on to our last definition, which is a curse. It is the literal worst. It has the power of a hex and follows you around like a jinx. You could be cursed to never have a good relationship, never have a meaningful job. It'll impact every facet of that part of your life and do what it can to make it crumble. Curses are easier to spot than jinxes because pretty obvious, but the hardest to get rid of due to just how much intent and power it takes to craft and cast them. You have to really put your intentions into a curse, which is also why, you want to be careful. You don't want to get too baneful, but we'll get into all that later on. So, this next part is sticking it to the man with subtlety. So, these are just a few ways that have allegedly, I gotta say allegedly, because for legal purposes, this is entertainment, but allegedly ways to practice baneful magic. Names in the freezer. You mentioned that story before.
Oh, that we did?
It's a classic, and it is done specifically to temper someone's hostilities towards you or otherwise freeze their progress, keep them from moving forward in their life. And remind me, how did that curse go again?
I believe this person just wrote the person down as I just want you to have a terrible time and leave me alone and my friend. Put them in a water, in a jar, or a little Tupperware, threw it into the freezer, forgot about it. This person, and I just remembered this from the story, this person's house burned down.
Man, not the fire and the ice, not a literal song of ice and fire.
Yeah, legitimately. After the name had gone into the freezer, their house burned down. They lost their job. They were going from hotel to hotel. They were losing their partner.
And Holiday Inns.
They didn't have the dolly.
Dang, you missed a dolly. That's a problem. Speaking of dolly, my next one is called the old reverse manifestation, turning shit into blessings. So for this one, I follow our Lord and Savior Pitbull's philosophy of turning negatives into positives. Now, in full truth, anyone who has the desire and energy to be talking smack about you is very likely triggered by something about you. It's not about you, it's about them. They're projecting their insecurities on you, and it's up to you whether to accept those insecurities or not. So what this tends to be is more of a reframe of the energy that's coming towards me. So when I have been called stubborn, I have chosen to honor sticking to my values, for values are what they lack. When I've been called arrogant, I've chosen to celebrate my drive and determination because those have led me to achieve dreams they can only dream of. When I've been called weak, I've chosen to cradle my softness, which has been strong enough to survive multiple attempts at removal. And when I've been called difficult, I've chosen to maintain my standards. I worked hard to be where I am, and I refuse to stoop. especially for those who need for me to lower my standards to have any hope of being in my circles at all. So, for those of you struggling with the idea of feeling like, someone is trying to drag you down, there's always something in there that you can flip. There's always a good that they're trying to hide in that negative. So, like our Lord and Savior Pitbull, turn those negatives into positives, make it work for you.
He also says something else where it's, life is not a waste of time, and time is not a waste of life. So let's stop wasting time, get wasted, and have the time of our lives.
Yeah! Featuring Neo. So that reverse manifestation, it's especially useful for weeding out envious, quote, friends, because the people who only ever celebrate your struggles and downplay your wins are not your homies, babes. Like, it's neither healthy nor correct to go through life thinking the worst of others. That's definitely been an aspect of my character I've been extra reflective of in recent years and trying to heal and work with properly. At the same time, it's important to understand that when people in your life show you who they are, you have to accept that and act accordingly. Someone who is always talking shit about others is talking shit about you too. Someone who's constantly hating on others, hating on you too. And someone who somehow always ends up being the center of attention will take your moments, intentionally or not. That doesn't make people bad or evil or not worthwhile, but it makes them incompatible. And compatibility is one of those things you truly cannot force. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and I think I've discussed this with you before, where there were times in my point of life where, like, I wanted to achieve something, and because of a person, and it wasn't their attention, they never tried to do anything. They were just being themselves. I was never, like, not in a sense of priority, but it's like, hey, let's say I like this person. I would tell them, hey, I like you. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't like you. I like this other person that was that person. As like, can you help me get with them? And I was just like, oh. And at that point in time, that person was not in a point in their life where they wanted to be with people. They just wanted to be by themselves. But everyone gravitated towards them. And I was just like, dang, like, I'm just a stepping stone. You're just getting close to me to get close to them. And it would hurt my self-esteem so badly.
Right, and part of the whole thoughts behind this and like the reverse manifestations is like rejection is redirection. You know what I mean? Like it's not happening for you now because something better is going to come along later. Hi.
Hi, baby girl.
Okay, better is questionable, at least in your case. So my last one for this specific little section is the mandatory self-reflection, wherein the only real curse you can give them is for them to look in a mirror.
Yup.
So for this one, you need either a picture of the intended recipient or something that represents them, and an area where you can have them surrounded by small mirrors and black thread to bind what it is that represents them so they cannot escape reflection. That is a moment where you are sitting them down and forcing them to understand who they are, what they've been doing, and how they affect others. Now, the thing is, your intentions matter when you're casting. And you have to understand that this ritual can only really go as deeply as the intended recipient's ability to think deeply and approach themselves and others with integrity. If they are by nature shallow or avoidant, don't expect much to change. And if we're being really real here, if you both were able to handle an honest and difficult conversation, you probably wouldn't be resorting to literal brujería, would you?
That's true. And if we're also talking about reflection, if some of our viewers have seen Big Mouth, we're thinking of the dog from Jay's family home. It's like, that's me. Me.
Yes, oh my god, yep. So communication in itself is powerful magic. And that said, it's not always safe to approach others. Abusers are very real and can and will hurt you. So sometimes the best thing that you can do for yourself is wish them the healing they need and move on for your own sake.
Hope that they don't come near you again.
And when in doubt, put their name in the freezer.
Or bury them in dirt.
So, part 3. Oh shit, I think I've been hit. What do? Just like you can use baneful magic on others, baneful magic can be used on you. While there is no surefire way to tell whether or not you've been jinxed, hexed, or cursed, there are ways to alleviate those effects when they happen. So I found these on pathos.com, and it seems to be like a decent step-by-step guide of, oh man, I feel like something really bad and metaphysical is happening to me. How do I handle it? So I love step 1, examine the realm of possibility thoroughly.
That sounds like something you should always be doing.
As we've said before, are we woo-woo girlies? Yes. Are we woo-woo girlies who believe that the earth is not flat and that vaccines are good for you? Also, yes. So that's where you are. The first step is to eliminate mundane causes. Diseases are caused by viruses and bacteria, and they're amplified by environmental factors like stress and fatigue. Accidents happen when we're distracted or impaired, or when we fail to properly assess risk factors. Bad things happening makes us feel bad, especially when we try to assign existential meaning to random events. Most times, bad things happening have ordinary causes, and multiple bad things happening just means random chances against you at the moment. If you examine things mindfully, you'll usually find that an ordinary explanation is the best explanation. Good old Occam's razor, you know? You aren't hexed, you just need to be more mindful, remove stress from your life, and dedicate yourself to making better long-term choices. I know, easier said than done. But one of the definitions of magic is moving the odds in your favor, which means that if someone else practices, they can move the odds against your favor too. And if an ordinary explanation does not fit, no matter how much you have tried to, align it, that is probably when an extraordinary explanation is in play, and we get into the metaphysical realm. So, step 2, examine your own practice before externalizing. Before you look for external causes, take a good look in the mirror. If your mundane life isn't going well, whether it's your fault or not, that can increase the odds that bad things will happen to you and that you'll react to them badly. But also look at your spiritual life. If you're ignoring your ancestors, they may be ignoring you. Our gods and our patrons are not petty and vindictive, but if you promised to do something and you didn't, they're not shy about letting you know about it. I will say, my patroness was not upset with me recently, but she did let me know, hey, babes, spring is here. I know you like being with your husband. I like being with my husband too. But you gotta switch your altar from fall to spring, babes.
She was not happy you kept it delayed.
Oh, but I switched everything out. I lit candles, I cleansed, and I apologized. And, Persephone feels a lot happier with me now.
That's wonderful.
Yep. So, have you had dealings with the fair folk? Have some of them set up operation in your vicinity? If so, have you been less than impeccable with your word? Have you been less than respectful? By their standards, remember, the Fae have very different standards. They all went to Fae Law School, and we did not. What feels like having been hexed may simply be the consequences of your own actions, and that will require more of your own action to remedy. So, you've gone through the first 2 steps, and you're not quite finding that answer. Step 3, list your suspects. If there's no good ordinary cause, and you're positive that you haven't offended your patrons or good neighbors, then maybe, quite possibly, someone's doing some bad brujería on you. The next question is, who would go to the trouble of hexing you? Do they have the ability? Are they likely to know someone who would do it for them? Let's be real. Etsy witches exist, and have for a while.
That they do, even though right now Etsy's being claimed by dropshippers.
Yeah, have fun trying to outsource brujería, bros. For all that some people joke about turning their ex into a toad, most people simply don't believe that or any other form of hexing is possible, so they never really think to try it. You don't have to discover who cast the curse to break it. It helps to know, and it makes it easier to keep them from doing it again. But most curse-breaking techniques will work whether you know where it came from or not. But beware of jumping to conclusions. Especially beware of making accusations without proof. That is how literal witch hunts get started. The kind of real witch hunts with burnings that still happen today in some parts of the world. And most notably Salem. Granted, it wasn't so much burning at the stake in Salem as it was hanging. And, in one case, crushed by a rock.
About the drownings.
Yep, those 2. Especially the whole, if she drowns, she's a witch. If she floats, dang, she's a witch. It was very much a heads you win, tails I lose situation in Salem, bro.
Yeah, no, I think the water one was, if she drowns, she was human. If she floats, she's a witch.
And then they drown her anyway.
Yes.
That feels correct. I'm gonna quote you on that. So, if you don't know anyone who might have both the desire and ability to hex you, you may need to do some more digging. So, step 4. Approach a healer carefully. Divination can help, but choose your reader very carefully. Identifying root causes of problems is one of the most appropriate uses of divination. If you can read for yourself, break out your cards or runes, whichever tools that you use, and see what you can see. If you can't read for yourself, engage the services of a competent reader or diviner. But choose carefully. The most common form of divination fraud is someone who tells you that, oh, there's a terrible curse on you, and then offers to remove it for a fee. Listen, scams are scams regardless of what the industry is, unfortunately. And sometimes they will ask for several $1,000s up front. Babes, that's a curse on your wallet. No.
One big warning I do have to give you listeners, and this is coming from someone that does like to read from time to time. Please, whatever you do, if it's not regarding a curse or anything that's happening with you, do not ask about your death to the cards.
Oh, definitely don't do that. You don't want to be messing with that.
Yeah, I spooked my hubby when we were younger because I'm like, oh, I want to do this for fun. I started reading his cards. I'm like, okay, ask the cards, think it in your head, and I'll read out what I'm getting. He does it, hands it back to me. I do my little fold. I'm reading, and as I'm reading, I stop and I'm like, did you ask about your death? And he just looks at me pale white and he's like, how do you know? And I'm like, you're not supposed to ask that.
Well, of course you knew, honey, which is no thanks. Pobrecito, though. Sometimes it will ask for several $1,000s up front, and other times it starts small and builds, and before you know it, an unsuspecting person has lost their life savings. So the vast majority of readers, witches, and other people offering magical services are ethical practitioners who charge a fair price for a fair service. If their rates are comparable to what a plumber or an electrician would charge for a similar amount of time, pay it and say thank you. But if their rates are more like a Wall Street lawyer's, if they pressure you to pay for more readings and more workings, and if they aren't producing results, walk away. It is not worth it. They are scamming you for real, for real. Never be afraid to get a second opinion. That's no excuse for reader shopping until you find someone who will tell you what you want to hear. But if what a reader tells you doesn't seem right to you, you can ask someone else.
And if you're running into the issue where all the readers you're finding are telling you the exact same thing, it's pointing you to something.
Especially if they don't know each other. Like if you are talking to all kinds of readers from all different walks, from all different parts of the world because the internet exists and you can do that, and they're all pointing to one thing, you might need to examine that thing they're talking about. Especially, because it comes up in objective conversation. Supuestamente, at least.
When I was in the Ottomans and I would take my tarots with me, I would have people request me to read the tarot, patrons, and I would inform them I'm completely sorry, I can't do that. There is a paid reader here at Fair. We cannot do that. I only do cast.
And look at that. That's ethics. That's following, the code that was in place. And you're not taking, the customers from the people who are there to do it. That's good practice.
Mm-hmm. But I told them you are free if people working here will allow you to see me do the reading and they're okay with it. You're perfect to stay and watch. So most of the time, the other people there would not mind. And I would do the readings, and they really want it. I would direct them back over there. Or what I'll do is I'll do a 1-card pull for them, and I wouldn't give them the full reading. They would then go over to the actual tarot booth and get their full reading from there.
Yeah, dead ass for real and on God. Like, you definitely did a reading for me that was like, hey, you're kind of in between two projects, but whichever one you choose is going to be the one. And here we find ourselves.
That is true, especially with your main project, and we're here at a second project.
It's never just one project with me, folks.
Oh, I know that.
Keep your wards in order. Step 5. Build a good, consistent daily spiritual practice. Ground and center every day. Learn how to shield. Cleanse and ward your house periodically. Charge and carry an amulet or other apotropaic materials. Basic spiritual hygiene doesn't just protect you from residual energies, it also protects you from run-of-the-mill hexes. These practices are also the best initial treatment for if you have been hexed. They strengthen you and they strengthen your protections. They break lesser malevolent connections and they weaken the stronger ones. They make it less likely that what got in once can get in again. If what you can do isn't enough, call in some help. Get your magically inclined friends to add their power to yours in the cleansing and shielding. They don't have to be witches and pagans to do this. So long as they aren't aggressively skeptical or think magic is evil, they can help. This works best in person, but it can be done remotely, especially if the remote work is coordinated and done at the same time. If you have seen the end of Practical Magic, you know how this works. You get a coven, you get the brooms, you get the man out of your sister. It's a possession. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Yes.
I saw your face!
I was just like trying to run everything by my mind. I'm like, wait.
Have you seen Practical Magic?
I don't think I have.
Oh my god! You are gonna forget everything I told you. Unperceive me, and then we're gonna watch it.
Understood.
Step 6. Identify and break any potential active negative connections. The good news is that cleansing and shielding will take care of most of the hexes and curses you're likely to encounter. The bad news is that if cleansing and shielding doesn't take care of it, it's gonna get a little more complicated. So most magic requires a connection. Find that connection and break it. Cord cutting spells can help with this, and so can physical isolation. This is why it helps to know who's hexing you. If you're able to remove yourself from that energy in that person and cut their access to you, that helps immensely.
I have a story for this.
Go for it. Spill.
So, you remember I love the fact that I just clapped my hands right there. Do you remember the story I informed you of with my old friend that's no longer a friend with the past that they're going through?
Right, yes.
I used to carry around in my mirror, and this is funny about the mirror of reflection. I used to carry around a mirror on my vanity, a picture of him and my other friend. And it got to a point like after the situation that happened between us, that it got so bad that I was like, I need to fully remove this specific person from my life. They're not healthy for me. They're not healthy for my state of mind. I never, until you started speaking about the mirror, I never clicked for me that I would put them right in front of my mirror. Like they were connected to my mirror. So as I'm looking at my reflection, their reflection is looking back at me as well.
Ooh, oh, that's portal work. You gotta be careful with that.
Exactly. And I'm just like, all my negative and self-esteem issues that were building. Oh, the picture's no longer here. I almost burned it.
Oh, bro, the way I looked around to see if there was like a mirror in the bedroom right now.
There's not a mirror in the bedroom. There's a mirror in the bathroom and you're right next to it.
But that's the thing, because okay, so folks, at some point I'll have to put up the paranormal bingo I have for our paranormal shows, because one of the things is a mirror in the bedroom. Like, no, don't do that. That's how the demons get you.
That's why I told my husband to close the bathroom door, and he never does it, and it pisses me the fuck off.
But no, because I, like, the way you mentioned mirror, I'm like, oh my God, is it in the bedroom? You're a good witch. I know that you don't have a mirror in the bedroom.
Oh no, Lady Melanie, if you look to your right, that is where I sleep. Now, if you look to your left, that's the door my husband keeps open. Where is the mirror facing?
Oh God, close the door.
Yeah.
No, because there was a mirror in the bedroom in the cabin in Georgia, which is also why I was like, oh, well, I don't live here. I have to do this.
You cover it with a blanket.
I could have salted it too, but at the time I just wanted to sleep. And then I got spooked.
Oh, yeah. So after I got rid of that picture, I think the only thing I really kept, the only thing I kept from that person is that scarab badge that you see there, the pin. Because that was based on one of their works that they were trying to create. They were trying to create a comic. Now they're trying to create a book. I don't know what's going on there because I've cut all connection with them.
Ayos, dog.
And I think all I have left besides that badge is a letter they wrote me. And that's the only thing I haven't been able to part with because it's not that strong of a sentimental value, but it's just like, I don't want to get rid of this last, reminder of you, of when you were a good person to me.
And look, everyone's journey with that kind of thing is their own. And you do the best that you can, to heal yourself, wish others well. And, if you're feeling a little baneful, do some of the things we've been talking about. Or if it's being done to you, because, whoops, how to protect yourself. Right. So it's not true that people can't hurt you if they aren't aware of their magic. A competent magician can hex someone without their awareness, but the stronger the connection between the hexing magician and their target, the easier it will be for the hex to get to the right place and do its damage. Isolation, in person, in the spirit world, and on the internet, makes that connection harder to maintain. That's why access is very important. Who has access to you? Who has access to your energy? If there are people in your life who know that people do not have good intentions to you and are actually like legitimately malicious towards you, but they keep those channels open, unfortunately, you need to either cut your access to those peripheral people as well or really be careful with what you tell them.
I realized that the hard way.
Me too. And it's not that you can't be friends with those people. Like, I have stories that will never make it on the internet that are all about that. But it's very much the idea of there are people in this life that they want to live their lives with open doors and open books. And that's great. They're not the ones getting graffitied. We are. And until they get graffitied themselves, they're not going to understand that. And some people will tolerate way too much before they realize it's graffiti.
Yeah. And I've also taken into consideration with that is social media presence. Like, even though we're doing this podcast, we do give up our first names. We're not giving up our last names. Even though you will probably hear our voice. You'll probably see us around the streets. You may know who we are. That's fine. But in the aspect of we're keeping this more in a sense of like, we're still kind of a little bit incognito, not by much.
We're incognito in the sense that you really have to dig to figure out the math behind the equation back here. Like if we give you the pieces and you put it together, like, you know, the world's weirdest yet fun escape room, you'll figure it out. But we're not going to make it easy for you.
Exactly. And that aspect is in regards to we do enjoy our privacy, and that's something that I have noticed that, hell, I'm going to be honest, I wanted to be a streamer. I do have my streamer name, and sometimes I do stream. Mind you, it's with a VTuber model or a PNG model. But with that aspect, I try to separate that from my real life because as much as I enjoy connecting with people, I do want a separation. I don't want a parasocial relationship with people because I've seen how dangerous it can get. Especially now that I have a daughter, I'm very careful where her images are placed. And I think the only images of her online right now, it's because the photographer that took the photos of her asked my permission to post them. And I gave the okay.
Yeah, no, consent matters. And look, at the end of the day, a lot of the things we're talking about when it comes to baneful magic can really only take like a strong effect the more access and energy that those people are allowed to take from you. And sometimes you're in a place where you give energy and you're not really thinking about it. It's like, whatever, it's just, you know, a person, a friend of a friend, an acquaintance. And I'm not saying that you should assume that everybody's intentions are bad. But I bring you back to my opening story of someone who pretended to be a friend, specifically to get close and to try to take things that were not theirs to take. And you have to keep your eyes open. That, you know, do no harm, but take no shit.
I completely agree there.
Step 7. When all else fails, call for physical and metaphysical backup. If they've sent a demon or other spirit after you, things get really complicated and you're beyond the help of people podcasting. Get a priest, get a rabbi, get a shaman. You're probably going to need help from your ancestors at least, and maybe your patrons and your gods. Pray and make offerings for their intervention. If you need to make amends for something that might have caused them to withdraw their protection, do that now. Don't mess around more than you already have. And if none of that works, call in the professional, the best witch, druid, priest, other spirit worker you can find. You need someone with the knowledge and experience to figure out what exactly is wrong and the skills and connections to do what needs to be done to remedy it.
And you'll know if they are a competent person in the aspect of if they know it's outside of the realm of what they can do, they will try and get you the person that can help you.
Yes, remember, go back to a previous step of, hey, watch out for scammers for that one. But yeah, again, you had to go through a whole other 6 steps to get here, which means that it's very likely you're going to stop at step 1 or 2. Unless you really piss someone off, and for that, I'm sorry, make better choices.
Make way better fucking choices.
So, part 4. Questionable intentions lead to questionable results. You know, intention in the craft is very important. Like, we've talked a bit about access, but it's also about intention. Everything that you do in the craft has to have a specific intention set to mind. Whether you are manifesting, putting on some glamour magic to feel better about yourself, whether you're trying to bring abundance and a little more cash flow. Nothing happens without manifestation, without intention, and without the ability to follow up on those intentions.
You can also take this into consideration. Ladies, vision boards are your manifestation routes.
They are your friends. They will help you make things happen. And no one needs to be perfect or an angel to go through life. But also living with spite or malice as your main motivation doesn't make anything better in the long run.
Tell that to someone who has ADHD and they thrive off spite.
And look, everybody has their different path. If anything, Baneful Magick exists to help us let out some steam. If you're spending every single day casting diarrhea on somebody, you might need to look within yourself and ask why you want everybody to poop so badly.
Don't send them the diarrhea. Send them the need to want to eat Taco Bell.
Oh man, talk about a Baja Blast.
That churro is gonna be go.
Ay. And sometimes karma takes her time more than we wish she would, but she'll arrive when she damn well pleases. The Baneful Magick kind of helps that process along and makes it a little funny in the meantime.
We also need to take into consideration karma is not just bad, it's also good. And the reason I know this is due to the person we were talking about before. They stated something would never happen. And after me and another friend of mine that was friends with them cut off our connection with that person, everything this person said would never happen for us with the people we are with ended up happening. Meaning their intention for us was not ever good.
Yeah, and the second you remove that energy from your life, things started happening in a very different direction.
That they did.
Girl, sometimes the people themselves are the curses.
Yep.
It's like everything's going fine, and next thing you know, a house completely drops on you.
Those are some very pretty red shoes.
I know. It's almost like we're embarking on a different road of witchcraft. It's got yellow bricks.
To an Emerald City?
And perhaps, or so they say, a wonderful wizard.
Of Oz?
I don't know. He seems kind of scammy. I don't think he would pass some of these tests.
Would he be behind a curtain, maybe?
Well, we're gonna have to peek behind it if he lets us.
But we'll find that out next time on
the season finale
of Where the Ghoulies Spill the Tea.
Sip, sip.
Thank you for staying after the show. Please enjoy your bloopers, and we'll be seeing you next Wednesday.
Hello. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Boy, howdy, did I unmute at the wrong time. We're gonna get some echo as we talk about Baneful Magick for beginners.
Just beginners, experts, and masters.
Especially Yu-Gi-Oh! Card masters. Blue Eyes White Dragon, I suppose.
Unless you're Seto Kaiba.
Screw the rules, I have money.
That's Pegasus too.
Oh, Maximilian Pegasus. And of course, Bandit Keith. You could tell he's American because of the American flag on his forehead.
I would have never known.
God, have you ever seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged?
Yes, I have.
Oh my God, thank God. Oh, I was worried for a second. I'm like, wait, we are 10 years apart roughly. You might not know little Karibo's deep lore.
I may not know that. All I remember is Merrick wanting this fucking dude's jeans.
Oh man, no, we met little Karibo at a convention many years ago.
Whoop!
Yeah, he was giving a panel on a Sunday morning, and someone got up and be like, "Little Karibo, sir, you have to understand, when most people gather on a Sunday morning, it's a religion." And there's like, weebs clapping all around.
Yes. I'm still shocked that Pegasus wasn't gay.
Yeah, I think the biggest plot twist is that man had a wife.
He was doing everything for his wife.
Everything.
And then Seto Kaiba wasn't a bad millionaire or billionaire. He just wanted to take care of his little brother.
Oh man, Seto, what a character, bro. What a Lex Luthor non-Lex Luthor character. Never be afraid to get a second opinion. There's no excuse for reading your Woo!
Time is not a waste of... what was it? Life is not a waste of time. Time is not a waste of money, so waste... How the hell does that quote go?
We'll get there. I you know what? We will look it up and we will insert it later. But we will keep that space. Boop. Part 3. Oh shit, I think I've been hit. What do? So just like you can use Baneful Magick on others, Baneful Magick can be used on you. Well, there's no surefire way. Well, I got pretty far before one of those.
That you did?
Bro, okay. The first step is to eliminate mundane causes. Diseases are caused by viruses and bacteria, and they're amplified by environmental I'm gonna restart that one. Actually, I'm gonna sip my pomegranate lemonade. Thank you, Persephone.
Sip, Mel.
Tasty. Shout out to Cali Coffee. So, keep your wards in order. Build a good, consistent daily spiritual practice. Ground and center every day. Learn how to shield. Cleanse and ward your house periodically. Charge and carry an amulet or other apotropaic. What the? That is a new word. That is a new word. I do words, and that's a new word.
Word of the day.
Ah! It's a Pee Wee Hermanism. I'm gonna restart that whole ass thing. Keep your wards in order. Build a good, consistent daily spiritual practice. Ground and center every day. Learn how to shield. Clean and cleanse. It's a cleanse. It's a cleanse. All right. I didn't even drink anything other than lemonade tonight. This is just pure, unadulterated woo-woo.
It's because you didn't want the tres leche.
Oh, fair. Good. I don't think I bumped the mic on that one. You're welcome. So, step 7. When all else fails. Naya does not like step 7. Does not like step 7.
It's not that she doesn't like it. It's legitimately she's doing her pterodactyl screeches. She's in that phase.
It was hella cute, bro. I hope it comes out.